All right, so today we're going to take a deep dive into a chapter that even some seasoned Revelation readers, find a little unsettling. Revelation chapter 9.
It definitely has a reputation
Yeah.
for its vivid and some might say terrifying imagery.
Oh, yeah, you're not kidding. The video that
Yeah.
inspired this deep dive is even titled 100 Apocalypse 9 is the scariest chapter in the Bible. Stay home if you see this.
Okay.
But let's be real. This isn't about, hiding under the covers.
Exactly. Instead of predicting doomsday, let's explore what makes this chapter tick.
Okay.
The symbols, the historical backdrop, and why it continues to fascinate people even centuries later.
I'm with you. Okay, so before we get to, the fire and brimstone set the stage for us.
Okay.
What was happening in the world when Revelation was written?
So imagine living in the Roman Empire as a Christian.
Okay.
Declaring Caesar as Lord was mandatory.
Right.
Not exactly an easy choice for believers.
No.
Revelation was written during a time of intense persecution for those who refused.
Wow, a true test of faith indeed. So is Revelation just a prediction of the end of the world, or is there like a deeper message?
It's about finding strength and holding on to faith even when things feel impossible.
Okay.
Think of it as a guide for navigating your own personal apocalypses.
Right.
Those moments when your world feels like it's falling apart.
Like your own personal struggles and things like that.
Exactly.
Revelation as a survival guide, I like that.
Yeah.
Where does chapter 9 fit into the overall structure of the book?
Revelation has a unique structure unfolding in a series of judgments. Seals, trumpets, bowls,
Okay.
each more intense than the last chapter 9, falls within the trumpet judgments,
Gotcha.
signaling a significant escalation of chaos and upheaval.
Okay, so let's talk about the symbols.
Right?
Revelation is packed with them.
Yeah.
And some are, well, pretty out there.
True, but the symbols are meant to illuminate, not confuse.
Okay.
Think of it as a language.
Okay.
Designed to help you, the listener, understand complex spiritual truths
Okay.
in a more tangible way.
So it's like a code we need to crack.
Exactly.
Okay.
And luckily we have a few keys.
Okay.
Some symbols are universally understood.
Mm-hmm.
The dragon representing the devil.
Right.
The lake of fire representing hell.
Pretty straightforward.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, but then there are the symbols that are explained within the text itself.
Right, like stars representing angels or candlesticks representing churches.
Okay.
Then you have symbols with roots in other parts of the Bible,
Mm-hmm.
tree of life,
Right.
or wild beasts as symbols of oppressive governments.
And then there are those symbols that leave us scratching our heads.
Right.
Even scholars debate their meaning.
Those are perhaps the most intriguing.
Yeah.
Take the white stone, for example.
Okay.
Does it symbolize innocence approval from a divine power or something else entirely? Maybe the true meaning will only be revealed to each of us individually.
Now that's a thought-provoking idea.
Right.
So we've got our decoder rings ready.
Okay.
Let's jump into the first major event of Revelation 9, the fallen star and the abyss.
Okay, the passage describes a star falling from the sky and being given the key to the abyss.
Hold on, a person gets a key to the abyss?
It's clear this isn't just a celestial body. That star is a being, a person.
Okay, what exactly is the abyss?
That's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
It's described as a bottomless pit, a place of imprisonment specifically for demons. Some might even say it's a supernatural jail.
Okay, so is it like a physical place or is it more symbolic?
The Bible doesn't pinpoint its location.
Okay.
Some believe it's a real place deep within the earth, while others see it as a symbolic realm of chaos and evil.
Okay.
What's fascinating is how it connects to Hades, the Greek underworld.
Oh, wow.
The idea of a hidden realm where evil is contained
Okay.
appears throughout various religious and mythological traditions.
So now who is this fallen star with the key? The video we're working from suggests it could be Satan himself.
That's a popular interpretation. It's
Yeah.
easy to connect a fallen figure with Satan.
Right.
But think about it. If he's already the ruler of hell, why would he need a key to open it?
Oh, that's a good point.
This is where your own interpretation comes in.
Okay, so it could be a different fallen angel.
It could.
Maybe even a good angel sent by God to carry out his judgment.
Exactly.
It seems like there is room for discussion on this one.
Exactly. That's the beauty of Revelation.
Yeah.
It invites multiple perspectives.
Okay.
What matters is that this being, whether good or evil, plays a key role in God's grand plan.
Plays a significant role, that's for sure. Okay, so the abyss is open smoke, is billowing out, and then things take a seriously creepy turn.
Right out of that smoke comes a swarm of locusts.
Oh, yeah.
But these aren't the locusts you see in nature documentaries.
Right.
These are described as having scorpion-like tails that inflict excruciating pain.
Wait, so they're not just destroying crops, they're actually tormenting people.
And there's a catch.
Okay.
The text specifically states they can only harm those who don't have the seal of God on their foreheads.
The seal of God, that sounds pretty important. Can you elaborate on that?
It's a mark that sets God's people apart,
Okay.
a symbol of divine protection.
Okay.
We'll dive deeper into the seal a bit later.
Right.
But for now, it's safe to say that if you see those scorpion locusts coming, you better hope you've got that seal.
I hear ya. One detail that stood out to me is that the locust torment lasts for 5 months,
Okay.
which happens to be the natural lifespan of a locust.
Right.
What do you make of that?
Even in the midst of this apocalyptic chaos,
Okay.
there's a sense of divine order.
Mm-hmm.
These terrifying creatures, as powerful as they seem, are still bound by God's timeline.
Uh-huh.
Their reign of terror has a predetermined limit.
And as if scorpion locusts weren't enough, we're then introduced to their leader.
Abaddon the Destroyer.
Oh, yeah.
His name alone sends chills down your spine.
Right.
The Hebrew Abaddon and its Greek equivalent Apollyon both mean destroyer. John's deliberate use of both languages really amplifies the universality of this destructive force. It's like he's saying this is a threat that transcends language, culture, everything.
It's a power move for sure, establishing who's really in charge.
Right.
But is Abaddon simply carrying out God's judgment?
Right.
Or does he have his own agenda? Is he a puppet or a player in this cosmic drama?
Now, that's a question that's been debated for centuries.
Oh, I bet.
It touches on a core theological mystery.
Yeah.
The balance between divine control and free will.
Mm-hmm.
Does Abaddon have free will, or is he merely an instrument of God's wrath?
Those are some heavy philosophical questions.
It is.
And just when you think it can't get any worse, the 6th trumpet blasts.
And unleashes a whole new wave of devastation.
Oh, boy.
This time, it's 4 angels bound at the Euphrates River
Okay.
who are released to kill a third of humanity.
The Euphrates River, that's not just a random location, is it?
Not at all. The Euphrates holds a lot of symbolic weight.
I would imagine so.
It's considered the cradle of civilization, a boundary between nations.
Right.
And in Revelation, it becomes a pathway for destruction.
It's like the very foundation of human history is being shaken.
Exactly.
Yeah. And there's this chilling detail. The angels are prepared for a specific hour, day, month, and year.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't random chaos. It's a preordained event, part of a larger plan.
Right.
Which begs the question, why would a loving God allow this level of devastation? It seems like a paradox.
And that paradox lies at the heart of Revelation.
Okay.
Judgment and mercy exist side by side.
Mm-hmm.
It's a call to repentance, a reminder that our choices have consequences, even on a cosmic scale.
So even in this terrifying vision, there's a glimmer of hope.
Absolutely.
A chance to turn things around.
But things are about to escalate even further.
Oh, no.
With a 200 million strong army entering the scene.
200 million. That's not just an army, that's a force of nature.
The imagery here is incredibly vivid horsemen with fire, smoke, and brimstone pouring from their mouths.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to forget. It almost sounds like something straight out of a science fiction movie.
Yeah.
The video even suggests that this army might be demonic rather than human.
That's a plausible interpretation.
Okay.
The sheer scale of the army, combined with those bizarre, almost mechanical descriptions, definitely points to something otherworldly and monstrous.
Right.
It echoes the locust imagery earlier in the chapter, suggesting a connection to demonic forces at work.
So we've got scorpion locusts, a destroyer angel, a massive army.
Right.
And humanity's response to all of this is not great, to say the least.
It's incredibly sobering. The text tells us that even after witnessing these plagues,
Yeah.
most people refuse to repent.
Wow.
They cling to their idols and their wicked ways.
Oh, wow.
It's like they're deliberately ignoring the warning signs, even as the world crumbles around them.
Do you think that's a commentary on human nature?
Oh, absolutely.
Our tendency to cling to what's familiar even when it's destructive?
Yeah.
To return to normal even after disaster?
It's a timeless question.
It is.
Even today, after witnessing pandemics, climate disasters, and political upheaval,
Yeah.
how quickly do we return to our old patterns of behavior?
Right.
It makes you wonder, are we truly capable of learning from our mistakes, or are we doomed to repeat them?
And the sins, they're specifically called out for idolatry, murder, sorcery, immorality, theft. Those haven't exactly disappeared from the world, have they?
Not at all. The forms they take might have shifted in our modern world,
Right.
but the underlying impulses remain
Yeah.
greed, lust for power, disregard for human life. These are timeless struggles woven into the fabric of human existence.
So in the midst of all this talk of judgment and destruction, what's the takeaway for us?
Yeah.
What's the message for those of us living in the 21st century?
That's where the contrasting concepts of the seal of God and the mark of the beast become incredibly relevant.
Okay.
They represent two starkly different paths,
Okay.
two fundamentally opposed allegiances.
Ah, yes, the mark of the beast, probably one of the most well-known and debated symbols in all of Revelation.
And for good reason.
Yeah,
It represents the ultimate choice, allegiance to God or to a world system that rejects him.
okay.
The seal of God signifies divine protection,
Mm-hmm.
while the mark of the beast, well, let's just say it doesn't lead to a happy ending.
So it's not just about a physical mark.
Right.
It's a deeper allegiance, a statement about who or what you ultimately serve.
Exactly. The mark represents a willing embrace of a system that prioritizes power, wealth, and control over love, justice, and compassion.
Wow.
It's a surrender to the allure of worldly power, often at the expense of one's soul.
And it's fascinating how this ancient symbol connects with our anxieties in the digital age.
Right?
Surveillance, data collection, loss of privacy. Those anxieties resonate with the idea of the mark of the beast.
It's uncanny, isn't it?
Yeah.
Think about microchips, biometric data, digital currencies.
Right.
All these advancements raise questions about control and access to our most personal information. It's almost like the mark of the beast has taken on a new form in the digital world.
It has, for sure. It highlights how the battle between good and evil isn't confined to some distant apocalyptic future. It's happening right now in the choices we make every day, both online and offline.
Exactly.
This is getting pretty intense.
Yeah.
It's a lot to process, but it's clear that Revelation 9 isn't just some dusty old text about the end of the world.
Right.
It speaks to the deepest fears and hopes of humanity and challenges us to make difficult choices in a complex world. We'll be back after a short break to discuss more about the seal of God and this idea of the mark of the beast in the digital age. Stay with us.
Okay.
Welcome back. Before the break, we were discussing those unsettling themes of, surveillance and control and how they connect to the mark of the beast in our digital age.
Yeah.
It really got me thinking about those everyday choices we make online
Right.
that could lead us down a dangerous path.
It's a crucial point. Revelation may be an ancient text, but its warnings about spiritual compromise are more relevant now than ever, especially with the rapid advancements in technology and the constant pressure to conform to certain ideologies.
It's like we're surrounded by these subtle influences, these whiskers that promise us, security, convenience, or even a sense of belonging if we just give up a little bit of our freedom, a little bit of our individuality.
Exactly, and that's the insidious nature of the mark of the beast.
Right.
It's not always a blatant, in-your-face demand. It often comes disguised as something appealing, something beneficial. But the ultimate cost is far greater than any perceived gain.
It makes me think about all the data we willingly share online, our shopping habits, our location, our personal preferences. It's almost like we're voluntarily offering pieces of ourselves to this vast digital system without fully understanding the implications.
And that's where discernment comes in.
Okay.
Revelation challenges us to be critical thinkers,
Right.
to question the systems and structures that seek to control us, and to make conscious choices about what we allow into our lives, both physically and digitally.
So it's not just about avoiding a literal mark on our hand or forehead, but about cultivating a deeper awareness of the forces that shape our thoughts, beliefs, and actions.
Precisely, it's about guarding our hearts and minds against those subtle influences that can lead us away from truth, away from God, and ultimately away from our true selves.
And that brings us back to the seal of God.
Right.
You mentioned it earlier as a mark of divine protection. Can you tell us more about its significance, especially in contrast to the mark of the beast?
The seal of God is a symbol of belonging, of allegiance to a higher power, to a set of values that stand in stark contrast to the values of the beast system. It represents a conscious choice to align oneself with God's will, to seek his guidance and protection in a world that often feels chaotic and unpredictable.
So it's not just about being spared from physical harm, but about a deeper spiritual protection, a safeguarding of one's soul and conscience from the corrupting influences of the world.
Exactly. The seal represents an inner transformation, a commitment to living according to God's principles, even when those principles go against the grain of popular culture or societal norms.
It makes me think about those early Christians facing persecution under the Roman Empire. Their faith, their unwavering allegiance to God was like a seal that protected them from the spiritual and even physical threats they faced.
And their example serves as a powerful reminder for us today.
Right.
We may not face the same kind of overt persecution,
Right.
but we're still surrounded by pressures to conform, to compromise our beliefs for the sake of convenience, acceptance, or even safety.
So in a sense, the battle between the seal of God and the mark of the beast is a battle that's waged within each of us.
It is.
It's a constant choice between surrendering to fear and self-preservation,
Right.
or standing firm in our convictions even when it's difficult.
And that's the essence of what Revelation is trying to convey.
Okay.
It's not just about predicting the future,
Right.
but about empowering us to make wise choices in the present choices that align with our deepest values and ultimately lead us towards a more fulfilling and meaningful life.
Okay, so we've talked about the scorpion locust, the destroyer angel Abaddon, that massive army, and now this intense spiritual battle between the seal of God and the mark of the beast.
Right?
There's so much going on in Revelation 9.
It's definitely a chapter packed with action and symbolism.
Yeah.
But in the midst of all the chaos and destruction, there's also a glimmer of hope, a promise of redemption and restoration for those who choose to follow God.
And that brings us to the 144,000.
Okay.
They seem to play a crucial role in all of this. Can you remind us who they are and what they represent?
The 144,000 are a symbolic group.
Okay.
12,000 from each of the 12 tribes of Israel who are sealed by God and spared from the plagues and judgments that befall the rest of humanity.
So they represent those who remain faithful to God amidst the chaos and turmoil.
Yes.
But does that mean only a select few are saved?
Not at all. The number 144,000 is symbolic, representing completeness and perfection.
Okay.
They are a representation of the faithful, the first fruits of a much larger harvest of souls from all nations who will ultimately be redeemed.
So it's not about being part of an exclusive club,
Right.
but about a personal commitment to following God regardless of one's background or ethnicity. It's a message of hope and inclusivity even within a book filled with such stark warnings and judgments.
Exactly. Revelation makes it clear that salvation is available to all who choose to accept it, regardless of their past mistakes or present circumstances. It's a message of grace, of second chances, of a love that transcends human boundaries and limitations.
And alongside the 144,000, we also have the great multitude.
Right.
A vast assembly of believers from every tribe, language, people, and nation who stand before the throne of God, clothed in white robes, having washed their robes in the blood of the Lamb.
That image is incredibly powerful.
It is.
It speaks to the universality of God's love and the ultimate victory of good over evil. It's a reminder that even in the midst of the darkest trials and tribulations, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, a promise of eternal life for those who choose to follow the path of righteousness.
It's a message that's both comforting and challenging, reassuring, and yet demanding.
Right.
It calls us to live with a sense of purpose, to make choices that align with our deepest convictions, and to never lose sight of the hope that lies beyond the present moment.
And that's the beauty of Revelation.
Yeah.
It's a book that speaks to the complexities of the human experience, our fears, our hopes, our struggles, and our triumphs. It's a call to action, a roadmap for navigating the spiritual battles we all face, and a promise of ultimate victory for those who choose to stand firm in their faith.
This has been quite the journey so far.
It has.
We've explored the terrifying imagery of scorpion locusts,
Right.
the chilling power of Abaddon, the significance of the seal of God, and the hope offered by the 144,000 and the great multitude. But there's still so much more to uncover in Revelation 9, including that infamous number 666.
Yes.
And this intriguing theory about the king of the East possibly representing China.
It's definitely a chapter filled with mysteries and provocations.
Yeah.
And those are exactly the topics we'll be exploring when we return after a short break. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Before the break, we were talking about the 144,000 and the great multitude.
Right.
Those who, stand firm in their faith even amidst chaos.
Yeah.
It's a powerful image of hope and resilience.
It really is. It reminds us that even when the world feels like it's falling apart,
Right.
there's a larger story, unfolding a story that ultimately culminates in redemption and victory for those who choose to follow God.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit and talk about something that's always captured people's imaginations.
Okay.
The number 666, it's become synonymous with evil, the Antichrist, even the devil himself. What's the deal with this infamous number?
The number of the beast, as it's often called, has been a source of fascination and speculation for centuries. People have tried to decode it, linking it to various historical figures, even modern-day leaders. But the truth is, its meaning remains shrouded in mystery.
So should he take it literally, or is it more symbolic?
It's likely both. In ancient numerology, numbers held deep symbolic meaning. 7 often represented completeness or perfection, while 6 fell short of that ideal.
So 666 could represent like a counterfeit perfection,
Mm-hmm.
a twisted imitation of God's order, a world system that appears alluring on the surface,
Right.
but is ultimately flawed and corrupt.
That's a compelling interpretation. It suggests that the beast and those who bear his mark are ultimately incomplete, imperfect, and destined for failure. Their power is illusory, their promises empty.
And it connects back to what we were discussing earlier about the seal of God and the mark of the beast,
Yeah.
representing two fundamentally opposed paths.
Right.
One leads to wholeness and true fulfillment, the other to emptiness and ultimately destruction.
Exactly. The number 666 serves as a warning, a reminder to be discerning, to look beyond superficial appearances, and carefully examine the systems and ideologies that we encounter.
So we shouldn't get too caught up in trying to decode the number literally, but rather understand its symbolic significance. It's about recognizing the spirit of 666, the spirit of greed, power, and control that can manifest in individuals, institutions, even entire cultures.
Precisely. The true danger lies not in the number itself, but in embracing the values it represents. It's a call to resist the allure of quick fixes, easy answers, and promises of power or wealth that come at the expense of our integrity and our souls.
Now let's talk about those kings of the East, mentioned in Revelation 16:12. It sparked a lot of speculation, especially with the rise of China as a global superpower. Some people even believe it's a direct prediction of China's role in the end times.
It's certainly an intriguing connection, especially given the geopolitical landscape of our world today.
Right.
But as we've discussed, Revelation often uses symbolic language. It's not meant to be a literal roadmap of future events, but rather a guide for understanding the spiritual forces at play in the world.
So how should we interpret this Kings of the East prophecy? Should we be looking for a literal army marching out of Asia?
It's more about recognizing the broader themes and principles at work. The kings of the East could represent any force that challenges God's authority and seeks to establish a world order based on human power and control, rather than on justice, love, and compassion.
So it's not necessarily about a specific country or leader, but about a mindset, an ideology that opposes God's kingdom regardless of its geographical origin or political expression.
Exactly. And that mindset can manifest in various forms: political extremism, economic exploitation, social injustice, even the relentless pursuit of technological advancement without ethical considerations.
It's like a battle that's happening on multiple fronts, not just on a physical battlefield, but within our own hearts and minds as we gravel with the choices we face every day.
And that's why it's so crucial to cultivate discernment.
Right.
To develop that spiritual radar that can detect those subtle influences that can lead us astray.
Right.
We need to be vigilant to question the narratives we're being told and to align ourselves with values that resonate with truth, justice, and love.
This deep dive into Revelation 9 has been quite a journey. We've encountered some truly unsettling imagery.
Yeah, it has.
Scorpion locusts, a destroyer angel, a massive army, and those chilling warnings about the mark of the beast.
Right.
But we've also discovered profound truths about the nature of faith, the power of choice, and the ultimate hope that lies in choosing allegiance to God over the allure of worldly power.
It's a chapter that challenges us to think deeply, to examine our own beliefs and motivations, and to live with a sense of purpose and intentionality in a world that often feels chaotic and uncertain.
So what are some key takeaways we can carry with us from this exploration? What can we as individuals living in the 21st century learn from this ancient text?
One key takeaway is the importance of staying rooted in our faith, even when the world feels like it's falling apart. Remember the seal of God, a symbol of protection amidst chaos. Our faith is our anchor, our source of strength and hope in turbulent times.
It's also a reminder that we're not alone in this journey.
Right.
The 144,000 of the great multitude represent a vast community of believers from all walks of life who have chosen to follow God even when it's difficult, even when it costs them something.
And perhaps the most important takeaway is the power of choice. Revelation reminds us that we're not passive bystanders in this cosmic drama. We have agency. We have the ability to choose who we will serve, what values we will embrace, and ultimately what kind of world we want to create.
It's a sobering thought, but also incredibly empowering.
It is.
It means that even in the face of overwhelming forces, we can make a difference. We can choose to be agents of hope, of healing, of transformation. We can choose to be part of the solution, not the problem.
And that's the message of Revelation in a nutshell. It's not about predicting doom and gloom, but about empowering us to live with purpose, to make wise choices, and to never lose sight of the hope that lies beyond the present moment.
So keep pondering the mysteries of Revelation. Share your insights with others, and never stop seeking truth wherever it may lead you. And that's a wrap for today's deep dive. Thanks for joining us as we explored the depths of Revelation chapter 9. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep diving deep.